Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault, and we're going to talk about Warner Brothers today, and specifically a game called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So let's cue up the music and we'll get right into it. Alright, so Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was Warner Brothers' big game release in 2024. Last year they released a little game called Hogwarts Legacy. Single player game that was very successful. Went on to it created quite the stir in the gaming community for a few reasons. One of them being that it was a Harry Potter related film, and all of the unhinged lunatics that hate the author of Harry Potter they just wanted to scream her name and call her transphobic because she doesn't, bow down to the whole LGBTQWXYZ agenda that says that men can be women and women can be men and all that stupid nonsense. In fact, J.K. Rowling pushes hard back against that, and I'm not a big fan of hers, to be honest with you. She's very, very much a lefty, very much a feminist, very much kind of annoying in that way, but I do stand shoulder to shoulder with her on this issue and understand that, reality is reality. You can't alter it. I don't care what's wrong with you mentally. I don't care what you feel. You are what you are, and there's no change in that, not in that respect, not by biology, so I get it. But that game was hugely successful. It went on to sell copies on every single platform, made millions and millions of dollars, and Warner Brothers probably will put out a sequel to it. And even though it was a single player game, it was successful and profitable, right? So this year they released Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now I remember when I first saw this game announced, and I saw the first trailer, it looked very lackluster. Very lackluster. It's kind of like, it's a 4-player co-op, always online looter shooter type thing. It's like just the same as every other one out there, and they've got a game plan for different seasons down the road and season passes and all that kind of crap, and it just looked bland. So I remember they shut things down a little bit, backed up, and went back to work on it and made some changes, I guess. I don't know. But whatever the case may be, the game was released to very poor reception, and I think it's getting approximately 100 to 200 players a day right now. A live service game that's only a few months old, that had DLC released, a month ago roughly, and more on the way. Oof, that's bad. So Warner Brothers, this was a Rocksteady game, Warner Brothers said Justice League, Kill the Justice League, racked up a $200 million loss for the company. And that's bad. That's really, really bad. There's no way to sugarcoat this kind of news, as it's an absolutely enormous sum by any metric. This kind of loss could only come as a consequence of the increasingly Hollywood-like approach to the gaming industry, where major IPs receive lengthy development cycles and massive investments in hopes of profits at a similar scale. Even in Hollywood itself, however, a failure of this magnitude isn't exactly common. Box office duds come and go with distressing frequency, but the vast majority of films don't cost $200 million to begin with, and anything that does usually has good reason to believe it can make money back. Without taking inflation into account, only 3 of the biggest box office bombs would fully qualify as equivalent catastrophes, although adjusting for it significantly expands the array. And these are the films that are lost adjusted for inflation, and at the top it's John Carter, Lone Ranger, The Marvels, 13th Warrior, Mortal Engines, Cutthroat Island, Sinbad, Legends of the Seven Seas, Strange World, Pan, and Tomorrowland. So yeah, the oldest of these was 1999, so this lasts 25 years. But showing you the loss, $255 million on down to $185 million. That's brutal. That's a lot of money to lose, man. How can you greenlight a project that is going to lose that much money? You gotta see something along the way that's going to raise some warning flags and say, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't the right thing. Maybe we need to A, cut our losses, B, start over again, or C, change course a little bit and make this better so that it will be profitable in the end, and it will be well received. I don't know. But yeah, the performance of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, ultimately fits right in with the biggest financial losses from blockbuster films, occupying a spot right around the middle of the top 10. As the failure of The Marvels earns it the only superhero movie spot on the list, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League easily nabs the spot of the second biggest loss from a major release in that field. Considering how poorly some DC films performed in the past year or so, it's noteworthy that none from the brand even come all that close to the game's disaster. And boy, they're not lying here, man, because think about it, like the Black Adam, terrible. I heard Aquaman 2 was terrible. The Shazam, Fury of the Gods, terrible. Wonder Woman 2, terrible. Everything seems to have turned to crap. And I was enjoying the DC EU at first, Man of Steel was great, I mean, the Batman versus Superman one was a hard one to digest, and the Justice League film itself was a little rough, but the first Aquaman was fun. The first Wonder Woman was fantastic. The ending was a little poor, but overall it was really well done. There were some hits, there were some misses. Suicide Squad, but once like the Bird of Prey movie came out, I lost all interest. I was like, this just sounds like it's going down the toilet fast, and boy, did it ever. It really took a crap. I've been pretty good at hopping off of these film franchises at just the right time. I hopped off of that one, right before that movie came out. I hopped off of the Disney franchise, the Marvel movies, right after the second Spider-Man film. What was it, No Way Home? Is it No Way Home, or is it Far From Home? No Way Home? Whatever. Far From Home, I think, yeah. Which was right after the Endgame film. And I don't miss it, and I'm glad I did. I'm very glad. There's no almost about it. I'm glad I did, because I didn't have to stick around and watch things that I love get destroyed like I did with Star Wars. And I'm done with Star Wars now. Absolutely done. I'll never go see another Star Wars film again. Never watch a Star Wars show. None of it. It's all turned to crap. And who do we have to thank for that? DEI. Oh yeah, that's the big villain in the room. DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is the or as we like to call it, didn't earn it. This is that whole mindset that you've got all these companies out there that are pushing narratives into games that don't belong there, and it's ridiculous. It's like, well, this game doesn't have enough gay people in it, or this movie doesn't have enough black people in it, or this one doesn't have enough women in it, or this one doesn't have this, or, it's almost like they come around with this checklist of things, physical attributes and social attributes, whatever, and they start checking them off. And once you have enough checked off, you're okay, and your product is good in their eyes. But by doing that, a lot of times you actually weaken the product that you're trying to sell. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it again, and I'll talk about it till I'm blue in the face. It feels like things are turning around, and we're not going to see so much of this in the future, and I hope that's the case, but yeah. So financial success and quality obviously aren't always directly tied, although tepid or outright negative reception rarely helps matters. It's not hard to make an argument that John Carter and The Lone Ranger, which hold the esteemed ranks of the biggest box office flop ever, and the direct runner-up, are more interesting ventures than some other Disney properties that were profitable. In the realm of Suicide Squad media, the more recent James Gunn film garnered both significantly better reviews and significantly worse monetary returns than David Ayer's earlier take. And I get that, I get that. So the well was already poisoned from the first one, and by the time the second one came around, I had zero interest in it. Even with James Gunn, I like James Gunn. I like his work on like the old Slither movies and his Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. Did good as a director, and I thought Suicide Squad was perfect for him. But by the time it was announced, I was so over Disney, or not Disney, but the DCEU, that I didn't care anymore. It was just complete apathy. I'm like, I'm not going to watch it. Why would I watch it? I'm not watching anything else they're putting out, It looks like crap. I love Stallone. He's playing a big shark. It still looks like crap. I don't want anything to do with it. And that's what happens is you lose the goodwill of people. Now, some people are diehards. They'll go back time and time again. That's the same guy that keeps going back to the cheating wife over and over again, and she cheats on him again, and he breaks up, and he's, why? No, then you got guys like me who are just going to cut ties and be like, you know what, I'm done. I don't know if there's a way I would ever go back to the DCEU. I mean, I know they're rebooting the whole thing and all that, and it sounds like it's going to be even worse. Amazingly, it sounds like it's going to be even worse. Even that recent picture of Superman that came out, he looks like he's depressed sitting in his hotel room or something. It's really a weird first look at Superman. That is not heroic. That is not Superman. That is emo man. And it's absolutely retarded, absolutely. I will never go back to Marvel unless Disney sells Marvel to somebody else. Somebody takes over the IP and begins fresh. Just starts the whole thing over. Says, you know what? We're done. We're creating our own universe out of this. Or we're not creating a universe. We're just going to put out Marvel movies. And sometimes they'll connect. Sometimes characters will cross over, whatever. But there doesn't need to be this overarching story. Who knows? But yeah, that's the only way I'd ever go back to them. And Star Wars, I'm sorry, man. Star Wars, you blew it. You absolutely blew it. Even if Disney sells it, I don't think I could ever go back just because the original movies have been so tainted. And they're just absolutely disgusting now, And it's getting that way with gaming, too. I hate seeing this kind of stuff, Ubisoft, I used to enjoy a lot of their games and all that. Now I can't, I don't even want to. I see something announced, like, oh, that sounds like a cool game, and you look, like, oh god, Ubisoft's involved. I don't want to do it. It's like I just don't. That's for a lot of reasons. Some of it is the BS DEI crap that they put in there. Other stuff is the busy work that they put into their games. These open world games with all this extra busy work involved in it, and then of course there's just they're just not as good as they used to be. Absolutely not as good as they used to be. So anyway. So, all the same, it's hard to deny that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League suffered from a lack of what made the Batman Arkham series so beloved. Despite some fluid combat and effective banter, the live service campaign hasn't proven as compelling as the atmospheric and dynamic stories that previous games boasted. Game companies just keep making big bets on titles that are supposed to deliver continual profits, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is an example of how horribly wrong this method can go. And here's the problem. That's, I think, the worst part of it is, Rocksteady put out some great Batman games back in the day. Absolutely fantastic ones. And these games are held in high regard throughout the gaming community, even years later, And then they do this, a few weeks or a few months back, or what was it, a year now, maybe a year and a half, I don't know. We got the Gotham Knights game that was pretty bad, and this one made that one look so much worse. It's just absolutely horrifying what they're doing out there. So, but what we know is Sweet Baby Inc. was involved with Suicide Squad. So if you go to the Sweet Baby Inc. page on Steam, or if you go to the DEI Detected page, you'll see which games have these DEI companies involved with them, and Sweet Baby Inc. was involved with Kill the Justice League. Are they responsible for the $200 million loss? I won't say that they are, but I won't say that they are without any blame in it, because from what I've heard, now I haven't played the game, so I can't tell you firsthand, and I'm not going to play the game. I'm not spending, I think it's at half price now or something like that, but I'm not going to spend the money to agree with everybody else who's played it that says it sucks. I'm not spending any money for that. I get it. I've seen the gameplay. I've seen some of the banter and all that. I've seen the way things work out. I saw what they did with the Joker and how lame he looked. I mean, it's just terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yeah, he was like the Joker from the what do you call it? The Suicide Squad movie. It's just absolutely stupid looking. And yeah, it didn't work. So I think they're getting like 100 or some odd players daily now, or consecutive players at any time during the day for a live service game. That is bad. And it's not a 20-year-old live service game, it's a few-month-old live service game with recent DLC. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Do you think DEI had anything to do with this? Do you think Suicide Squad was just bad from the start and it was doomed to fail even if it didn't have the taint of Sweet Baby Inc. on it, Or do you think that Sweet Baby Inc.'s responsible for the biggest failure that Warner Brothers had for a while? And it's bigger than their movies, and they've had some crap movies lately, my God. And my big worry is, are people going to lose their jobs now at Warner Brothers because of this? That's a big loss. And you're going to have to take that hit and move forward. You know, they're going to have to keep developing games and all that. And if you are reactive about it, you go, oh, we just lost $200 million. Let's fire all these people. Well, maybe, don't do that. Maybe work on the next project and work on it with a smaller budget, and don't bring in these outside influences that I'm sure cost you a pretty penny. Don't bring in these idiots that don't care about your game, that aren't going to be there when your game's released, right? They come in, they hold some meetings with your marketing department and maybe your design team and the director and all that. They spread their cancer, inside the company with the developers and all that, and tell you what they expect to see for your game to be successful and to check off all the right boxes when it hits the market. And then it hits the market and it flops, but they're not there for it. They're not there to take the responsibility for it. You are, and your team is. You're the ones holding the bag. Meanwhile, they're talking to the next sucker down the road who's putting out a game going, oh yeah, man, we've worked with this guy and that guy. No. It has to stop, and I'm hoping it does. Anyway, please leave a like on the video if you found it enjoyable at all or entertaining, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault. I will see you next time. Until then, peace.